Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. This is a well, not really an unboxing because I've already been using it and it's kind of grimy, so you're not going to get the fresh unboxing smell here today. We're going to get a review. This is a review of the all-in-one modular art box by Kydrufi. My friend Rosie gave this to me as a gift. She thought that it would be something that would really be right up my alley, and yeah, I think it really is. There's a lot of good points to this. It's a fairly new product. I think it was started as a Kickstarter product, but she picked this up for me on Amazon. It's on Amazon now, and it costs around $45. So it is a little bit of investment up front, but I think this might be a good situation for somebody that needs to paint in a compact way, that maybe only has little snippets of time to paint, so wants to keep their paint fresh in between painting sessions, or somebody that does maybe miniature painting, or someone who loves to plein air paint, or paint in cafes, or basically just want to paint on the go. This box here, this is actually the size of it that it is all put together. It's about 7 inches by 7 inches by 4 inches, so not super big. The box gives you some really great information about the product, and then on the back you can kind of see how everything stacks together. And this kit here has 2 sets of the wet palette and paint holder combinations, so that's kind of nice. So if you paint 2 different medias, like maybe you use acrylics and gouache or oils and gouache, and you want to have both types of paint, or watercolor or whatever, you want to have both types of paint ready to go, you could do it with this. So let's take a look at it. Let's stop jibber-jabbering. So this is what it looks like all together. Mine's a little grimy because, like I said, I've been using it. And let's take it apart and show you how it goes. So we've got water buckets, we've got paintbrush holders, we've got these. I think I want to take the. How do I want to take these off? Let's first take this top module off. So this can be used to hold your paints, your pens, your brushes, whatever you want, or you can actually keep it together like this, and it can hold your water buckets. The neat feature about this is you can actually pick it up with the water in it, because the holes from the water buckets match the hole in there, and it does feel pretty sturdy, and I like how it's not tippy. Even if you want to take the cups out, they could sit on your table and they're not going to get knocked over too easily. And they're square, not round, so you do get a little bit more cubic inches of water, or however you want to portion that out. The containers here, these have little foam clips that will hold your brushes. So these ones that go on the inside, and you can put them however you want. You could have them all hanging on the outside if you wanted to, but you get 2 sets of these clips. I think putting these on the outside of the blue container makes sense because they have the little cup, so if you've washed your brush, you have watercolor or whatever, you cleaned your brush pretty well, you can just set it over here so it can dry, tip down, and the water can drip out into the little reservoir here, so you don't have to worry about getting paint on your table if you're painting in a cafe or at the kitchen table or on a coffee table or whatever. These, however, these other clips, I think are handy, say if you're painting with oils or acrylics and you haven't had a chance to wash your brushes yet. And these are supposedly compatible with oils and water, with acrylics and water, or with oils and solvents. But say you haven't got a chance to wash your brush out really well, you could actually clip it like that and have it submerged in the solvent without it resting on the bristles. Because if you just leave your brush in like that, then, and you forget about it, you can bend your bristles. But the nice thing about the foam tips is that you can actually hold it so that you can have like maybe just the bottom 1/4 inch of the ferrule submitted in your water or your solvent, and it's not getting on your brush handle, because when the brush handle soaks into liquids, especially water, it will make the wood swell, and then the paint will crack, and then the paint will start chipping off, and then your ferrule gets loose, and it's not fun to paint with that. So being able to just submit the bristles and a little bit of the ferrule in your solvent or water is going to save your brush quite a bit. So I thought that was really thoughtful and really interesting that they included that, and they included so many, because even if you're using more than, there's 8 clips here, but I think even if you were using like maybe 14 brushes, I think you could get like bigger ones in between. So let's say you have a bunch of brushes, you could have, it's not perfect, but you could fill it right up and put those bigger brushes in between some of them. Maybe not between every brush, but you could get a couple more in there just to protect them until you get a chance to wash them. So I think that's really thoughtful. I think this is probably designed for model painters, because when I started to investigate this product, I was seeing a lot of miniature painters, people that do like, you know, figurines and whatnot. But I think this would be really nice for fine artists as well, or a hobbyist or a tool painter. I think it has a lot of different options. So I've been using this, and I've been using this for gouache, and I had my gouache things on the bottom here. So all of these lock into one another. There's little, there's these little snaps, kind of little clips on the end, and they hook onto one another. And I just took a paper towel and I folded it in quarters. One of the Viva paper towels. I think this is like one of the half sheet. You know, take a half sheet, you fold it in half again, and that's perfect to fit under these little clips, which I assume that's what it's for. I mean, at first I thought maybe your palette paper is supposed to go there, but then that totally negates the fact that there's a stay wet palette underneath here. So this is my palette. I put paint on here last week sometime, so it's been a while. Maybe, let's see, it's Monday now. I think it was Friday when I put paint out on here, and the paper stays completely flat, and that's probably my biggest complaint with the other paint stay wet palette I use a lot. I'll show you that one. Right here, this is the stay wet palette I use a lot. It's by Redgrass Games, and it's a nice size. I like the size of it, and I don't know if I have paint in here at the moment. Hopefully not, because it might be a little gnarly. But let me open this up and show you here. It's got the wet sponge, and it's got the palette paper. The palette paper's here, but when I put the palette paper in, I have these flat marbles in here because it always curls up. So I just put like a little marble at each corner. It's not a big deal, but it is kind of annoying. With the palette paper that comes at least for the oil and acrylic, that's what I'm using the gouache, for the gouache, it stays completely flat. It like slicks right to it. So I was totally psyched. The paint is still dry, it's still wet. I just used it this morning. So I really like that, and I like that it clips shut. This palette, I have to use a rubber band, this band on it, and I have a Masterson palette seal, which is huge. It's just inconvenient for a lot of the work I do because it is so big, and it doesn't have a sponge. I have to use wet paper towels in that one, but yeah, I really like this. And then the paint, you get 2 of these. I hope I don't sound like an infomercial, but this is really kind of cool. I put gouache out. This was probably like a week and a half ago or so. I put gouache in here, and then I've sprayed it a couple times, and it's been workable. Not that gouache is really that difficult to get reworkable again, but I think it would be good for acrylics as well. I don't think it's so hot for watercolors because these wells are quite large. If you look at it here compared to my mat, they're over 1 inch by 1 inch, and more like the small wells are like 1.25 inches by 1 inch, and the large wells here are like 3 inches by 1 inch. So I think that would be overkill for watercolor, and I don't really get these tabs, the stick up. I'll show you one that's not been used. This one here has not been used. So I don't get what the tabs are for. The only thing I can think of is maybe to, like, when I was squirting paint in here, I kind of like wiped the tip of the tube. I kind of scraped it across that to get the paint off. And I guess you could kind of wipe your brush on it so you're not gumming up all of this area. That's probably what it is, so you don't get the lid all gross. It's probably so you just kind of scrape your brush off on that if you get too much rather than the sides. That's got to be it. Unless I'm totally missing it and somebody else knows, I think that's what it's for. And then you got these larger areas here. But I think the reason that these wells are so large is so you can really load it up before you go to paint if you're going on location or something. I did fill this up pretty good with some gouache paint, and I did a few paintings and I haven't had to reload. So yeah, it does work good. It's keeping the paint fresh. It says 90 days for gouache, and I think 60 days for acrylics. And everything's all I don't ever think apart here. This is the palette paper. There is miniature special mixing paper, which feels kind of like a wax paper. I'm not sure what the difference between miniature paint paper is, but that feels kind of like a wax paper, or maybe even like a parchment paper type material. And whoops, get in there. And this one here is much more, it almost feels like a stone paper. If you've ever used that stone paper, it's got a weird heebie-jeebie type feeling when I rub my fingers on it, but it doesn't curl up. So whatever this paper is, it is awesome for not curling up. I don't know if the other one curls up because I don't have that miniature paint to test it on, so I'm mean, I imagine I'll probably just use that when I run out of this, but you get 10 sheets of this in the kit. I assume that I would just cut up my disposable palette paper to use there, or maybe even cut up like a silicone sheet to stick in there, because I think that would be, or Teflon. I found a Teflon sheet would actually work really well, because it does seem to be a little bit porous. It's non-stick but porous. So I might use something like that, so it would be reusable. But as it comes, you're ready to go, at least for your next 10, you know, palettes full. And it's not like you have to throw it away, because I mean, it's not pilling up, the paper's not pilling up or anything. You might even be able to scrape it and reuse it, or, you know, rinse it off. I don't know, it's like, it seems to be pretty durable, so I might even try that. I mean, that kind of negates the convenience of palette paper, but yeah. Also, those Dollar Tree cutting mats, those flexible cutting mats, those can be cut down. I use one of those in my Masterson Stay Wet palette anyway. But yeah, and then I just take the paper towel and I fold it up in quarters and clip it under there, because the nice thing about that is when I wipe my brush off, I like just wipe it on the paper towel, and it gets the excess water out of my paint when I'm painting. Now these will hook together. I don't imagine you would be needing to use maybe 2 palettes, but I can't imagine you need 2 of the paint holders together. But anyway, they do hook together. They're not too slidey, so I don't know if there's a huge advantage hooking them together, but they are designed to go together like that. Not the lid though, the lid is separate, but you could always cover them up too. If you had your workstation all set up and you just want to go take a break, you could cover them back up and even latch them closed if you wanted to. I think it's a neat feature. I don't know if I would necessarily use it all that much, but they do hook together. You could even hook them all together if you wanted to. And something else I want to mention is that, say if you were painting maybe with a couple people and you wanted to share supplies, you could always like take these out and pass one to another person. You could even fill this up with water too if you wanted to, for extra water. And the nice thing is that these aren't going to be tippy, so if you're working in, like with children, you're working in a classroom, working at the library, it's not going to be spilly. And did I show you? I started to re-record this because my camera ran out of battery, and I can't remember if I showed you my portable painter. This is what I typically use. I have not found the device that's going to unseat the portable painter from being my favorite travel painting option, mainly because I like to travel light and I mainly do watercolor when I'm plein air. And this I can put over my leg. You fill the ends with water. You can put it over your leg when you're kayaking, when you're sitting in a chair. You can set this on the sand at the beach so the sand doesn't get in your palette. And it's, so far, I haven't found a palette I like better for plein air painting. But the downside is to this is if you're sitting at a table, like you're at a cafe, and you don't want to have this up so high, you want to have this down on your table, then these two guys can be a little tippy because they're so skinny. So what I do in that case is I just take a binder clip and I clip them together so that they don't tip. But with these, you wouldn't have to worry about them because they are more sturdy. So that might be a plus for you if you are in the market for a plein air travel set like this. I like how that's pretty compact. I wouldn't be able to carry it in my pochade box, but if I was doing acrylics, I could bring that with me and just kind of set it inside my pochade box when it was open and I was painting. But I think mainly this is going to be handy for like just going, maybe sitting outside the backyard or on the deck or something where I just want to keep everything really compact. But yeah, you've got the little storage there you can clean your brush and you set it in there and it can drip dry with the bristles pointing down to maximize the longevity of your brushes. And it's really a neat little gadget. There's these little silicone discs in the rinse area where you can clean your brushes against them like that. And it works pretty well. It helps agitate the paint out of the bristles. It's not as agitating as a paint puck, so if you're used to like the paint puck rinse cup, then with the really deep nubs, you might even want to take one of those out and put a paint puck in there. Especially if you like to paint with a lot of thick paint and your brushes get real gunked up with it, that might be a nice adaptation, a nice improvement if you want to. But I think that's adequate for most situations that you'd be painting in a small palette like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I like it. I think it's a nice invention. $45. It's fit for purpose. It's a custom thing. You could probably DIY something cheaper that would, you know, that would work for you, but this is definitely designed to be very compact and be exactly what you need for travel painting. Is it worth the $45? That's up to you. You know, honestly, you're the only person that can decide that. But it does seem to be very well made. When you snap this together, you want to have, it seems to want to have this like one with a spring on it, which I assume is whole paper towels. I mean, what else would it be for? Or a rag? You want to have that one facing the, or attaching to the base here. So let's put everything back together and I'll show you how it goes. When you want to detach these two side pieces, you got to take the lids off. So I could see that could be an issue if you're using this for like really runny paint. So if you have like a acrylic ink in there or something, you might want to maybe not latch them together, because when you go to open them up, or if you have really juicy watercolors in there, it might be like might be kind of messy to take them apart. So I think I would be a little cautious with that. Yeah, and I'm just not sure what those tabs are for in there. It just seems kind of strange. But anyway, so I would put them, yes, you want to stack them up before you clip them. That's right. So make your little stack here. And then you are going to clip, you know, press the clips in, going bottom to top. Well, don't do that top one yet, because we need to hook that one to the box. And then you put your box on. And I like that you can keep the paper towel right in there. So, I mean, if you're not going through many paper towels, that's probably going to be fine. And you can lift it up. Whoops. Oh, famous last words, right? I did not latch that in very good. Oh, you know what it is? I think I got to move the little brush thing up a little bit so I can make sure I really get that latched in there. There we go. There we go. And then you can carry it wherever you're going. You could put your brushes in like that. Or if you're not using one of the, it's actually, I think it's a little too short to store your brushes in one of like the paint palette thing. Oh, something I didn't show you though was the, what the wet sponge looks like. I can show you that on one of the one that is not open. Let's do that. But yeah, you could pop your brushes in there, carry it all together. So this is what the wet sponge looks like. You will need to add water to it periodically. It comes in a plastic, like a zip, not a Ziploc bag, but it comes in a plastic bag, and it will be moist enough. But then you'll want to add some water to it, I think, and periodically. But if it does harden up, this seems to be like the same material that's in my my other wet palette. Just put that in there, and then when you're ready to use a palette, I can just show you that because I don't think it's going to ruin it. The logo is going to go, and what's that say? It says Erakuta. Erakuta? I'm just going to stick that right on there. I actually might need a little bit more. I wonder if the logo on that is supposed to go up. I wonder if it even matters. There, and then you're ready to paint. You might want a little more water in that, especially if you're going to go paint outside where it's warm, but there, that's ready to go. That's all there is to it. Yeah, you just put your paints in the little paint container and you're off to the races. So I hope you found this useful. I think this is a neat little gadget, and it certainly is compact. I like that. It's not going to replace my portable painter just because I think this is a lot to carry around if I'm just going to do watercolor, but if I was going to go out and do acrylics, I definitely think I would use it. I don't know if I would use it for oils. I generally don't plein air paint in oils, but maybe. I think that if I did, I would probably just use the water mixable oils, and the water mixable oils is going to leave quite a grimy mess in there, so it just depends on how pristine you need your products looking. I don't really much care for that. I care how pristine it looks, but I did want to do this review before I got it completely gunked up. I want to thank Rosie for sending this to me. That was very, very sweet of you. She makes the most beautiful handmade sketchbooks and is an Etsy shop. Her shop is Artsy Rosie over on Etsy if you want to get a handmade sketchbook. I just finished my big one up this week actually, so that was exciting. But I have some others. I have some others I need to dig into. But yeah, check those out if you are in the market for handmade sketchbooks. I'll put a link to this in the video description if you want to go check it out. Yeah, I think it's cool to give you an extra one of these, because if you like to paint in multiple mediums like I do, you can have one set up for oils, one set up for gouache, one set up for acrylics. I'm not sure if they offer the modules on their own yet, but that might be kind of neat too. If you already had mixing, like a water system that you like, just being able to get the modules for the paint and the Stay Wet palette might be kind of cool. But anyway, it's a neat gadget. I think it's very thoughtfully made. It's high quality, and I don't really see any issues with it. You can let me know what you think. If you've used this product and you want to chime in the comments below, please do. That will help other people that are considering this. I think it's a nice compact way to kind of travel with your painting, and especially if you have a limited space to work, or you like to go to friends' houses and paint, or you like to go to classes. This would actually, you know what? I bet this would be really nice. You know what we should do? Actually, when you're traveling with this, why don't you put the things in like that, or yeah, so that you're not risking knocking those down. That's what I would do. And I definitely think this is meant to go on the blue portion, because see how shallow those little clips are? I think it's meant for the thicker plastic of the blue. But when you're carrying it around, I think it might be better just to pop these into there so you don't lose them, just to be safe. I don't know. You do whatever you want to do with your life. But yeah, I bet if you're taking like a tall painting class, you're taking some sort of acrylic painting class or gouache class, this would be really great for bringing your stuff to class. Yeah, that's who I recommend it for, and plein air painters. And it's almost plein air season, and I love plein air painting, so I'll definitely have to take it out there in that situation as well. But again, this is the Kydrufi. Hope I'm saying that right. All-in-one modular art box. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.